and I'm going to share screen. Yeah. All right, here we go. All right, so this is see, wrong one. Yeah. Okay, this is my website. Let me go to actually go right to the site here. Hang on. So my website's mybusinesnisyourbusiness.info.
Okay.
All right. And I'll send you the link to that. Come on. Here we go. I started off with this, what I would do is my clients that were business clients, I would promote their businesses in hopes that they'd promote my business, and they never did. And so I'm like, okay, I got this website. I'm gonna get some benefit out of it. All right, so this first tab here, the Chairman Project. So there's a business, because I've known this guy for going on 11 years now. 12 going on 12 years. I thought he was another Navy SEAL. He works out all the time. He's real buff, tattoos, cursed like a sailor, right? and well, what it was is his philanthropic cause is rescuing trafficked women and children.
Okay.
He actually goes in the field, kicks in the door, takes the pedophiles into custody and turns them over to the police.
Right on.
My hats off to him, because I don't have the temperament for that.
Right.
Yeah, if I saw somebody abusing a kid or a woman like that, yeah, I'd end them. And
yeah. I agree with you.
So that's, but he used, the way I got to know who he was is one of my Navy SEAL buddies is a tracker. And so he was working with him, tracking down some pedophiles, right? Or human traffickers.
Okay.
And so that's how I got to know him. And then so what he had just sold all his businesses. So what he would do is he would find businesses that he knew a little bit about and had potential. They had potential, and he would say, "Listen, I can quadruple your business, but I'm not going to charge anything. Just give me 51% ownership, controlling interest in your business, and I'll blow it up."
Okay.
And
sounds good.
And then you can buy me out, or I'm going to sell to somebody else, right? And then so that's what he did. Now what he does is he charges a fee. Okay, so it actually works out to be less than, he probably makes less money charging a fee for the service than he would if he did, took the equity, right?
Right. Okay.
But that's what he does now, right? And so he came up with this course, and he called it the growth course at first, and he called it what else did he call it? It's called the growth course, the business G spot, right? and then he called it the Chairman Project. And then somebody said, "Listen, dude, people don't want to take a course. They just want they want a system to grow their business." And so that's basically what it is. He gave that course to me. I did it like 4 times and realized that it followed the temple process, in the Bible. So I got a whole PowerPoint where showing, because when you talk to people like I worked for a company that recruited everybody, and I would always try to target mortgage loan officers and accountants because what they do
Okay.
and what I do is so similar. Okay. But it
Okay.
was, they're just accountants looking at how the guy can pay less in taxes this year, right?
Right.
Where I'm like, how can he pay less in taxes down the road when he really needs the money? Okay.
Okay. Right.
Right. Okay. And a loan officer, a mortgage loan officer is like, okay, with what this guy has, income and assets, and can he afford this mortgage on this house, right?
Right.
Where I'm looking at the same information is how can we get this guy pay off his mortgage, right, and have enough saved in retirement so he doesn't have to work anymore. Okay.
Right. Okay.
But it was like it just was like they weren't getting it. My joke is it was like trying to teach a drunk woman how to do the contemporary double two-step. They can't make the transition from side to other side, side to other side, walk, walk, right? But now they're
Okay.
paying attention. I got a guy right now that did mortgages for 30 years. Now he's working with me, and he's it's gonna pull him out of the funk, right? And
Uh-huh.
so he's the one guy that paid attention. He got like a 95 on his test, right? But
Right.
he didn't know how to do didn't know what to do. So now he's learning what he can do, and he's opening up his database. All these people he helped get into these like low interest loans over the last 7 years. Now they're not
Right.
coming back. They're not coming back to refinance at 7.25 right now, right?
Right. Right.
When he got them under 4% back in not too long ago, right? So this when I'm working with small businesses, I like to work with small businesses because they're more serious people. Okay, so
Right.
I'll help them with their employee benefit strategies. Their 401k, the profit sharing, the cash balance strategies, the group health, group term, right, and the uh, the home savings accounts, those kind of things. Okay, and but I can't afford to take my time off of my business and do what I'm doing to help them grow their business. But that's what Jason does. That's what he does with the Chairman Project that Grows Course.
Okay.
Okay, right. And then there's Gusto. Okay, so what they do, they're a payroll and administration company. So if you have a business, you could contract with Gusto to take care of the payroll for your employees, right? But they
Okay.
also offer healthcare, and they also offer group health plans for companies
Okay.
for their employees, and they also do home savings accounts.
Okay.
Okay, so those are becoming real popular because of the tax deductions. Okay, so if you've got a HSA account, they can administer it for you. They'll get you set up with an account. They'll make sure the money comes out of your check, right, and goes into it every month. All right, and so you got to have, to make it work, you got to have a high deductible health plan.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and then so what you have in this health savings account that covers your co-pays and your deductible, right? But you have a lower premium on a high deductible healthcare plan, and that's what they do. They do all of that. So I just refer people to them for that. Okay, and then and you can just click right through those banners. It'll take you right to oops, where to go? You click on the banners, it'll take you right to their website. Okay.
Okay.
Now this is Score Navigator. Now when I got out of the military, I was so broke I couldn't change my mind. And I
Sounds like me
self-educated.
now.
I read every book you can get your hands on personal finance and debt management. And I put these strategies to work, and I got myself out of debt. I didn't know how to use Excel. I had a whiteboard behind my bedroom door with all my debts in it, the highest debt to the smallest debt. And
Uh-huh.
every time I paid my balance, every time I paid my bills, I changed the balances. And when I paid the smallest debt off, I take that amount of debt service to that account. I add it to the payment of the next debt. Everything you pay above and
Okay.
beyond the minimum goes straight to principal, lowering your effective interest rate, paying everything off faster. So I started did that and paid off all of my debt. And then I was working as a venture capital broker. And its minimum investment was $10,000, and I need it right now from a total stranger, right? That was hard. That was hard business. I averaged about 200 phone calls a day doing that, right?
Right.
But it was, when you change projects, there's always a lull. So there was a lull, and I started looking. I entered in a paper as a debt management consultant. It was a group interview. They explained what they were doing, claiming they can get you completely out of debt in as little as 5 to 10 years without increasing your monthly payments. I was the only one that thought, I think that's possible. And long story short, I wrote more business for that company my first month than anybody had done for a year and a half for them in San Diego, California, and they made me the manager. And every time I showed somebody how to get out of debt, they start looking at buying a house. So I got my real estate license, and I started doing mortgages and real estate. But the other guys that were there, came from the finance background, the insurance and the investment side. They were showing people how to take some of that savings and that on the debt and paying off, putting that toward a tax advantage investment vehicle and paying off their debt at the same time. But every time I showed somebody how to get out of debt, they started looking at buying a house. So I got my real estate license, started doing mortgages and real estate. But I always remember what those other guys were doing. And then when things I was heavy with construction lending. And when that took the hit in 2006, before everybody else did in 2008, that's when I transitioned to financial services. Okay.
Okay.
Well, I found this debt, but then that's another situation where, I don't make any money helping somebody get out of debt.
Right.
Okay. And it takes time away from what I do that makes me money. And I found this guy that started this. He's the guy that created the scoring, the scoring model for the credit bureaus.
Okay.
Okay. So I chased him for 4 years. Finally, he got it now where it's, it's a dashboard. It's a consumer dashboard. Okay. And it can help you. Like, let's say you want a 700 FICO score. It can tell you exactly what you got to do to get that 700 FICO score.
Okay.
And that for the most expensive product they have is $50 a month.
Okay.
And you can end it. So you get your score what you want it to be, then you can just end it. You can stop it if you want. Okay. But it's the fastest way to get somebody cleaned up in their credit. It'll tell you exactly what to do to clean up your credit. Okay. So I referred them to that because I don't have to do it. Okay. But you can click right through this and get right to that, right? Now this is where, these infinite banking strategies, or family banking strategies, or personal banking strategies. Okay. So I actually learned about this from my son. He's 33 years old, and he was one of the top sales guys for Tesla in San Diego, California.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And when COVID hit, he got laid off with a bunch of other people. Okay. And he said, Dad, so what he did is he got started with the Voc Rehab program, and he got certified as an HVAC tech. All right. And he calls me up. He goes, Dad, I'm making way more money now than I ever did at Tesla, especially in the summertime. I make more money I can spend. He says, I want to do one of these infinite banking strategies. Okay. And so I set him up with an index universal life, $250,000 face amount. His target premium, he's in good health. I'm pretty proud of him. He's keeping himself in shape, keeping himself healthy. His target premium for a $250,000 policy is $168.13 a month. But he can max fund it to $1,066 a month. That's $12,750 a year, which is almost twice what a Roth IRA is. Okay. But it's taxed the same, but he doesn't have to wait until he's 59 and a half to get that money out without paying taxes. He can get up to 90% in a wash loan. You know what that means?
No.
Okay. So what happens, this is how you get tax-free money in retirement. So let's say you got a policy and you've been max funding it, it's grown with the market. You've got $1 million in your policy. Now you're like, I don't want to work no more, right? So you tell the insurance company, I want $60,000 a year, and they'll go, okay, I want to borrow, $5,000 a month out of my policy. So they'll take $5,000 out of your policy, credit you 2.3%. Then they put it in the general fund of the insurance company. When they pay you out, they charge you 2.3%. So the credit covers the interest. That's a wash. Okay. That's the loophole of how not to have to pay tax on your money when you take it out. Is that it's considered a loan. You don't pay tax on loan proceeds. Okay. But you don't have to wait to retire to do that. So my son's real handy. He used to do home remodeling in San Diego. And then when his mom moved into Pensacola, Florida, he did maritime construction. Now he's back in San Diego doing HVAC and electrical. So if he finds a property that's right for picking, it's in default, they're getting divorced, it's in distress, he can borrow from his policy, pay the down payment and closing costs, fix it up and flip it, and put the money back in his policy and go look for another one.
Okay.
All right. Now then there's these family banking strategies. So this is, let's say you got a mortgage on your house, right? Just because I have these numbers memorized, if you had a $250,000 mortgage at 7% interest, the way they do the amortization, in the beginning, you're not paying a lot toward principal. Your payment will be $1,664 a month, but only $254 a month would be going toward principal that first month. But if you paid that $254, if your due date was the first of the month, and you paid another $254 the 12th of the month, you would eliminate over $1,300 in interest, and you'd pay that mortgage off in 15 years doing it that way. Okay. And there's other strategies you can do. You can knock that mortgage out from 7 to 10 years. All right. Doing it that way. So what happens is what you do is you overfund your policy enough to cover your debt service. So if you had a $250,000 house and you had like my son had a $250,000 mortgage, that's 7% interest, and he overfunds his policy it would be about $2,000 a month. And then he borrows the money out of the policy to pay his mortgage payment, the $1,664 on the first. But again, he puts $254 on the 12th of the month. All right. So that same dollar that's building in his policy is also paying down his debt and paying it down faster. Okay. And then the interest doesn't accrue because he's putting that same amount every month. That's that's the family banking strategy. Okay. But then there's the infinite banking strategy. Now, this is where the tie-in with Jason Cisneros comes in. Okay. So I'm learning about this stuff. I'm on a video, and this guy's talking about how he uses this strategy. He's a business consultant. And so he's not using this policy and the revenue from the policy for his retirement, okay, to live on, later on down the road. He's just using it as a better place to hold his money than the bank. Okay, so he max funds these policies. He finds a business, he buys in the business, or they give him equity, okay, in the business. All right, he builds it up and sells his equity, and then puts the money in the policy and goes find another one. He's got about 12 policies that he's doing this with. Okay, there's advantages. There's a floor anywhere from 0 to 2%, depending on the carrier. All right, so you can't lose your money in the market. If the market goes down 20, you're stuck. If you're at 0, right? 0 is a hero when the market's down 20, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. They usually have a cap. anywhere from 8% to 15, depending on the carrier, right? And but it's a better return than the bank. It grows tax deferred, and it's tax advantaged when you take that money out. Okay, and so do you know what the FDIC insurance amount is for a bank if you have your money in the bank?
No, I don't. Isn't it like 300,000 or something like that?
It's $250,000 per bank.
Oh, per bank.
You can
Okay,
have a
yeah.
bunch of accounts, but if it's more than $250,000, it's not covered by the FDIC insurance.
Okay.
Okay, so you either have to have your money in every, if you have more than $250,000, you got to have your money separated in different banks, or you can have a life insurance policy, a cash value policy, and there's no limit, other than the face amount of your policy. Then you just get another policy, like they got like that 12 policies. Okay, and
Mm-hmm.
if you had $1 million in the bank, do you think you can just go up to the teller and drive up to the teller window and say, "Hey, I want $1 million"? You think they'll be able to give you $1 million?
No.
No. I know somebody that has crazy billions of dollars, right? And they want their money, and they can't. They get it in troughs every quarter. Okay, so that your banks, people think of a bank as a safe place to have your money, right? But even if it's your money, you can't. If it's a lot of money, you're not going to get it, have access to all of it when you want it, even in a bank. But with
Right.
an insurance policy, you can get up to 90%, and takes maybe a day or less than a day to transfer your money into your account, or pay out, get a check cut, sent to you or whatever, right? Okay,
Right.
so that's why people use these. So those are the three ways of using this strategy, whether you call it a individual banking strategy or family banking strategy, or it's just becoming your own bank using a policy. Okay, and that's what I help people do. All right, and then here, there's if somebody wants to have me contact them and discuss what we can do for them, they just fill. This is just a capture page, right? Got my phone number,
Uh-huh.
my email on here. Okay, but they can put their name and their email and their phone number and send it to me, and it'll go right to my email. All right, and then there's
Okay.
some videos. There's a whole bunch of videos on here that I do talking about strategies and how to budget. And I mean, I realize that a lot of people I'm talking to, they're in a situation where so these are a whole bunch of videos.
Yeah, I've been to your website. I've seen it. I just haven't had a chance to watch the videos yet, but
Okay,
I've been to your website and seen your videos and navigated your website.
all right. Well, hope you liked it. Hope you got something out of it, right? But
Yes, sir.
so I found a lot of people like from my church. There's a lot of people here that came here from Canada, California, and Australia, right? And they're Uber drivers, or they're working retail, or they're doing a warehouse job. There's nothing that they can get ahead, right?
Yeah.
Right. And so, I did these incremental steps for somebody to make more money, to budget, cut out the unnecessary expenses, and
Right.
and help them get ahead, right? And so what that helped. Another thing is, because of the people coming from my church, and I like to do presentations for trade schools. Okay,
Uh-huh.
I've been doing it, cosmetology, barber colleges, HVAC tech schools, welding schools, right? So they're going to make more money than they've ever made before in their life when they graduate, all right, and they get their credential. Okay, but
Uh-huh.
I get them started. At least they know who I am. When they start making more money, they know who to call. Okay,
Right, right. Yeah.
but I can get them started ahead of time. Maybe just getting some protection, a term policy, right? The payment's really low, but they're protected. They got something, to take care of their family, if something happens to them, right? And
Right.
then when they start making more money, we can convert that to a permanent policy, and they can get the growth and the tax protection and the protection from the market volatility, like we talked about for these infinite banking strategies. All right. Um, and so I've made a lot of connections. There's one school here that they do advanced training, advanced CAD drawing, advanced welding, uh, water jet, plasma jet cutting, manufacturing stuff, right?
Uh-huh.
And so I refer people to them that want to do better, right? This one guy came to our church from Pennsylvania, young guy. He was working as trying to become a journeyman electrician in
Uh-huh.
Pennsylvania. Came here. I turned him on to this one trade school that has a HVAC tech course. They sat him down. They had an appointment with him. Did the FAFSA form. He got a grant to cover his tuition. Then they got him a job part-time in HVAC while he's going to college,
Okay.
or while he's going to the trade school. Okay.
Right.
Right. And so there's all kinds of, I got automotive trade schools.
See,
There's
the one thing that I've looked into and I would love to do is they have I've researched it a little bit, is I'd love to be able to get like a 26-foot box truck that has a cooler on it and do over the road work, because you don't have to have a CDL. They have non-CDL box trucks as long as it's less than 26,000 pounds, which means I can haul about 10,000 pounds in the back of the truck, which is plenty with 12 when I can load 12 pallets and go over the road, go over the road and do that. But I just don't have the money for a truck. And then
right.
I have to have the money to get all my uh uh my LC and all that stuff as well.
Well, you have a car now,
Yes, I have a car now. Yes.
right? So that's gonna make a difference. Take full advantage of that and see if you can't get you a better paying job,
Yeah.
make more money, and then we can help. What you're talking about, you need to have some reserves. You need to have, this infinite banking strategies may be something that we could put in place for you.
Yeah.
But I'd have to sit down with you and go over it. So we'll set an appointment to do that.
Okay.
Okay. So after you're talking to Steve on Wednesday,
No, today.
today. Okay. Yeah. After you
Yeah,
talk to him.
I'm meeting him in an hour up at the Waterburger right next to my Wendy's that I work at. The
Okay.
Waterburger right in the
I
corner.
know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about. All
Yeah,
right.
I'm meeting
All
him
right.
there.
So after you talk to him, I'll get an appointment. I can sit down with you, or get on Zoom like we're doing, right? And see if we can't get a strategy, because that's what I do. I help people get a budget. I help them. Once you have a budget, you can see where to stop the bleeding. Cutting out those unnecessary expenses, right? Things you're paying for that you're not really benefiting from. You
Yeah.
get whatever, your Netflix
Like the
account or whatever, right? Right.
my next big thing my next big thing I need to do is I need to get my own place, my own apartment is my next big step. I have the car,
Yeah.
so my
Well,
next step is I have to be able to get an apartment in around here. I mean, anywhere, unless you go to a place that does it by how much you make a month. They want you to make 3 times of what the rent is, and the rent is not cheap nowadays. So it's a matter
well,
of finding a job.
like I said, I see if I can help you out with that too, right? Because I know a lot of them. All right. All right. I actually I like working with I like talking to the mortgage and real estate people because I came from that background.
Hmm.
It's just that you got to talk to them the right way. X is a lot like Y, right? What they do is so similar to what I do. Like I got
Hmm.
one guy. He did 30 years in the mortgage business, and he's
Uh-huh.
been hurting now. Those same clients he helped get into those low interest rate loans that aren't coming back to him refinance at the higher rates. He can help them with the rest of their finances and make up the difference of what he wasn't, he's not making in mortgages, compared to what
Right.
he used to. Right.
Hmm.
So, all right. So that's my website. And I give you an explanation of what my business is. All right. And you know, you've been here your whole life, and I'm looking for referrals. So if you can think of anybody, you got family, friends, neighbors, your kids, friends, parents, people you work with, anybody that you can think of that might have an interest. Business owners. I love working with small business owners. So if you know anybody like that, write them down
Um,
and let's go talk to them.
yeah, I'm trying to think of people that I know